Hey, I'm Dr. Jason Barker with the Natural Athletes Clinic, and today I'm going to talk to you all about athletic recovery. So when you hear the term recovery, you've probably heard of active recovery, and maybe you've heard of passive recovery. Long story short, active recovery means doing something with your body, whereas passive recovery means not doing anything, just sitting around. Now, I can tell you from all the research on this subject that active recovery far outweighs passive recovery in its benefits in getting you rested and repaired and back in the game. So what is recovery? It's just basically low intensity exercise that increases blood flow to those damaged tissues to help repair and regenerate them. And yes, by the way, every time you work out, every time you do a race, you're damaging your tissues on some level, and that's why we need to recover. So there's four main ways that recovery helps us. And the first is that by bringing in that blood flow to those tissues, it helps clear out those metabolic end products from that fitness bout you just did the other day. Removes things like hydrogen ions, which are very painful and inflammatory, so clears things like that out of your system. Same idea as that fresh blood also brings in oxygen and all the nutrients you need to help repair and regenerate those tissues. We also know that active recovery helps stimulate tissue remodeling because, again, you've got to do that repair. It helps promote the release of growth hormone, which we need to repair damaged tissue specifically, and also helps release cytokines, which are chemicals your immune system uses to kind of orchestrate all of this. So by doing all of those things, performing those actions, you're also decreasing inflammation and decreasing the pain. And then the fourth reason that active recovery is very beneficial is that, again, by bringing in that fresh blood or increasing body temperature, which helps those tissues be more flexible, they're more relaxed, they're less inflamed, and you're in less pain, so that, again, you are making less cortisol so that you can recover quicker and get back in the game. So those are the four main reasons that active recovery helps us. So when should you do active recovery? Well, there's kind of two main timelines for this. First one is immediately after a bout. So think of somebody who has done a fast race or a sprinter. You see those guys finish a track race and you don't see them go and pull up a seat on the bleachers or lay down in the grass. What are they doing? They're walking around. They're doing that because that helps their body get rid of those end products I was talking about, helps get rid of those hydrogen ions, which are very painful and inflammatory. So there's the immediately after. That's with very, very intense bouts of exercise. And then for maybe the rest of us who do a triathlon or climb a peak, something like that, you're going to be doing that active recovery 24 hours later the next day. So how long should you do it for? Well, that kind of depends on how you're feeling, but I would say anywhere from about 20 to 40 minutes is good. This is something that should be relaxing, that you should feel refreshed by. It shouldn't be a drudgery or something you've got to battle through. This needs to feel good, okay? So 20 to 40 minutes. Now, what does active recovery look like? Well, again, it's low intensity, so you want to be keeping your heart rate somewhere around 120 to 140 beats per minute, depending on your fitness. Again, this should feel good. This should happen the next day. Like I said, there's never a time when you want to skip your active recovery. The only times I can think of somebody skipping it is if they're injured or if they're really sick. So keep it low intensity, low heart rate, make sure that it feels good, okay? So what are some forms of active recovery? That's easy, right? You can go for a light jog, you can do a spin on your bike, an easy swim, an elliptical, anything like that, that again is stimulatory. Now, my favorite form of active recovery is actually restorative yoga because, obviously yoga is completely different movements from what I did the day before. There's a lot of contracting muscles, there's a lot of extending muscles, and it's a bonus if you're in a heated room too, because then you're getting that blood flow everywhere. So those are some good ideas with that. Now, things like foam rolling, stretching, massage, those aren't really, they're kind of borderline between active and passive recovery. Absolutely nothing wrong with doing those, but I do think that they should be used along with something that's going to raise that heart rate up and get your body temperature up. Now then, what are some other ways that we can help accentuate the recovery process? First one is, of course, eating, right? So you've got to replace those calories you've burned. You need good amounts of those macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and fats. You need to eat healthy. That goes without saying. Skipping meals after an event like this is not going to do anything to help your recovery. So getting the diet nailed down. Omega-3 fatty acids are super important because they're an anti-inflammatory and they also help direct that tissue remodeling that we were talking about. So an omega-3 product is a great idea. Lots of salmon, seafood in the diet. Of course, you can get this from algae if you want a vegan source of those omega-3s as well. Other things to think about are enzymes. So systemic enzymes are going to help clean up those damaged tissues. Remember, you do have damage and you've got cells that are broken, and there's probably some microvasculature that's damaged from this stuff. So those systemic enzymes will help clean that up. Now, it's important to take those enzymes on an empty stomach so that they can be absorbed systemically. If you take them with food, you're going to have very efficient digestion and it won't get around your body where you need it as far as terms of recovery goes. And then third item you need to think of is using curcumin, which is an extract of turmeric. It's probably our most powerful natural anti-inflammatory. Nothing wrong with taking an anti-inflammatory, especially if you're in a ton of pain. There's always a balance between a little bit of inflammation is good, too much is not good. So use your judgment on that one. Now, last but not least are some myths with recovery. So we've all heard that lactic acid is responsible for that pain we're feeling. That's not true. That's been disproven. The idea was that you are making this acid in your muscles as a byproduct of exercise. So they said, well, this must be what's causing that pain. That's not true. Okay, that pain the day after exercise is called delayed onset muscle soreness, and it's more attributable to those other metabolic end products, and also more so to damaged muscle fibers. So that's where that pain is coming from. And then the last thing you hear a lot about is like flushing your body. You can't flush your body out. Staying hydrated is very important, but overdoing it with fluids just to try and flush something out is not a good idea. That is not going to speed up your recovery at all. And then sometimes you hear like doing twisting exercises will help wring out or help detoxify you. There's no science in that either. The only thing is that, yeah, if you're twisting, you're using those muscles, you're contracting and relaxing them. So yeah, that does help enhance recovery in that regard, but not by removing any toxins especially. Okay, that's it for recovery. I hope this helps you guys out. Please incorporate some of these. I think you'll feel a lot better if you're somebody who's been doing the passive recovery routine and you switch over to the active recovery routine. Please give it a like if you did. Please share it with your buddies. And of course, we're always looking for new subscribers.